time does not seem on Theresa May's side.
No, it doesn't. Again, I'd like to say that this 2019 sort of deadline is a bit artificial. She should try and punt for it there to be transitional agreements. And as I said previously, it's very complicated to untangle yourself from something like the EU. And she's just putting an undue amount of pressure on herself at the moment.
She's not the only one putting pressure on herself. Theresa May landing in Brussels after reports Wednesday that the UK Parliament was holding off on a final vote on a Brexit bill because of too many hostile amendments from backbenchers. Just how divided is her camp?
Well, I think part of the problem is, just as with the referendum, it became an issue to do with the Conservative Party. The Brexit vote happened not just because of Conservative voters, but also Labour voters in the Labour heartland voting for Brexit. Theresa May has to do something to ensure that Brexit stops being a party political issue. I think it is very important that she extends an olive branch to certain members of the Labour Party who voted for things like Article 50, people like Frank Field or Caroline Flint, and bring them into the negotiations. Because at the moment, if it's a party political issue, it becomes incumbent on the opposing parties, the opposition parties, to cause as much problems as possible with it. She needs to turn this into a national problem, not a Conservative Party problem.
Can she do that? Can she bring the Labour Party into the negotiating team?
Yeah, there's no reason why not. The joy of Britain is its entire constitution is based on the make it up as you go along sort of philosophy. This is why we have an uncodified constitution. If you want to do something, we used to have cabinet responsibility where cabinet members couldn't, collective cabinet responsibility, couldn't disagree with each other. In 1975, when the Labour cabinet was divided on the question of whether we should join Europe, Harold Wilson just came up with the idea of, well, we could all agree to disagree. It's a very British way of doing things. So, yes, she can extend the olive branch. There's nothing constitutionally stopping her.
And would Labour pick up on it? That's the next question. Patrick Sullivan, let me ask you, France's president, he must have read the British papers before going to Brussels. Let's listen to Emmanuel Macron. He seemed to be marking the contrast between the UK delegation and the European one when he spoke.
This EU summit will send a message of unity. Unity with Spain, and also unity in the Brexit talks. We share the same interests and the same goals, and we're all united behind our chief negotiator, Michel Barnier.
I didn't count how many times he said the word unity or united in that soundbite, but do you feel like he's rubbing salt in the wound?
No, I mean, he's looking out for France's national interest. That's what he should be doing. But his point is wrong. I mean, Europe is not united on this issue, just as much as the Conservative Party is disunited. Each nation in Europe has their own individual national interests. I believe the Prime Minister of Hungary recently said that they shouldn't be too harsh on us. I tend to agree with him.
Tend to agree with him. Patrick, at this particular point in time, though, that those talks are not progressing to the next step. We saw that statement put out late Wednesday by Theresa May about EU citizens' rights. Here, all the talk is about the divorce bill. Is she going to have to, come up with a better number?
I think the problem is how we're talking about things. A lot of the issue to do with the EU and Britain's problems with the EU is to do with language. If you were to talk, for instance, about a participation fee rather than a divorce bill, that would go down a lot better with people. Parliament Street, the organisation which I run, has a number of people who have a number of different views on Brexit, including some people who are from the European mainland. And their point to me was, well, you've agreed to take part in all these projects. We've all started going in on these things together. You can't just sort of leave us footing the bill. I tend to have some sympathy with that. But a participation fee would be something where we're still involved in projects such as Galileo or the Earth observation system and a lot of other EU projects which Britain will still be a part of if it pays a particular participation fee. But the problem is talking about things like divorce bills just get people's backs up, and people don't think they're going to get anything from that either.
Patrick Sullivan, the CEO of Wall Street investment bank Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein, he's been rubbing salt in the wound this Thursday with a tweet. It reads, "Just left Frankfurt. Great meetings, great weather. Really enjoyed it. Good because I'll be spending a lot more time there. Hashtag Brexit." What's the view in the city of London right now?
Well, one of the great things about London compared to Frankfurt is London is the cultural capital of the world. I can't see all these Wall Street bankers wanting to move all their families to Frankfurt. That's not, sort of having a go at Frankfurt, but a lot of these people speak English. A lot of them have families that are already sort of here, embedded here. And there's a sort of culture, the West End is second to none. The only thing comparable is Broadway. The food, I mean, you can get food from any country in the world in Britain.
But if your boss at Goldie tells you to move to Frankfurt, you move to Frankfurt.
Well, I can't see it happening. And Frankfurt, quite frankly, is not the City of London. The City of London has been around since before 1066, before the Middle Ages, and we've been at the centre of international trade since then. I don't think Brexit's going to change that.
All right, Patrick Sullivan, many thanks for joining us today from London.